Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namayo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Prasyatya Deshatarine. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya 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 Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you for coming to chant the glories of the Lord Sri Sri Radha Gokulananda Ki Jai, and the glories of Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you very much. So everyone likes to chant, correct? Everyone loves kirtan, right? The thing is this, when we sing the kirtan, we really have to sing from the heart, because we want Krishna to know that we really have a feeling for him. We're not just singing his names so that we get a benefit. Just like a mother doesn't raise her son thinking that when he grows up, he'll take care of you, you'll have a job and lots of money. No, she gives her heart. Love, that's what love is. You give your heart. So we have to give our heart to Krishna. Who else are you going to give your heart to? Think about it. He's the only person you can trust, because he's in your heart in this life, the last life, all previous lives, and all future lives. He'll go with you. But he doesn't want to go with you life after life in the material world. He would rather that you come back to him in the spiritual world. So how can we do that? We have to focus. So the wonderful thing about kirtan is that when you sing, you can't think. When you sing, you can't think. However, were there people in this kirtan who were thinking during the kirtan? How many people were thinking during this kirtan? Let's see. But I already told you that when you sing, you can't think. That means that you were thinking while I was singing. You understand? As soon as you stop thinking, your mind rushes in and you start thinking. And then when it's your turn to sing, then you have to stop thinking and you start singing. So in the kirtan, you only have to control your mind half of the time. The singing takes care of the other half. So when I was a new devotee, I would attend the kirtans of the singers that I really appreciated. And I would listen closely to how they sang, their feeling, their mood, the melodies. So I wasn't thinking. You could say I was studying, just like listening very carefully to get a deeper understanding, a deeper appreciation. Because that's what we want to do. Because every one of us has difficulties controlling the mind. How bad is our mind out of control? You want to know? How many people want to know how bad your mind is out of control? Okay. I'm going to ask 3 questions, and by answering these questions, you'll have an understanding of how your mind is out of control. Okay? Are you ready to do this? It only takes 2 minutes. Yeah? Okay. My first question. How many people have experienced having a thought come to their mind and then they were shocked? How can I think such a thing? Who's had that experience? Okay. How many people have had this experience? They said something to someone and then later on they felt so bad they called up that person and said, "Please forgive me, I didn't mean to say it." Mm-hmm. And then the third question is this: how many of us have done something that we wished we could turn the clock back, that it didn't happen? Okay, so our minds are totally out of control. Why would you say something that you didn't mean to say? Why do you have to apologize to someone? So This means that our mind doesn't represent us. Think about it. Your mind does not represent you. You're shocked some of the things the mind thinks of. You're shocked some of the things that you do that your mind thought was okay at the time, but later on you think, ay, 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 that was terrible. Why did I do that? So when we say my mind, that's an incorrect understanding. It's not your mind. Your mind is completely independent of you. You want to become a Vaishnava, but your mind doesn't want to become a Vaishnava. Your mind wants indriya tripti, sense enjoyment. So in the Shastra it says that in the Kali Yuga, the demon and the devotee reside in the same body. What? Everybody likes to make a new devotee, right? Well, the most important new devotee you can make is your mind. Think about it. If your mind becomes a devotee, how easy would you become to advance in devotional service if our mind was to become a devotee? So this way, Krishna speaks to Arjuna in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And he tells Arjuna, so what you have to do is you have to learn to control your mind. Why? Because the controlled mind, Krishna says, is your best friend. But the uncontrolled mind is your worst enemy. Worst enemy. That's what Krishna says. Therefore, Arjuna, you have to learn to control your mind. And then Arjuna says, well, it's all right for you to say that, Krishna. But as far as I'm concerned, I think it's easier to control the wind than it is to control my mind. That's what Arjuna says to Krishna. It's easier to control the wind than it is to control my mind. How many people agree with Arjuna? Krishna didn't agree. Krishna says, undoubtedly it's not easy, but it can be done. Prabhupada told me, nothing good comes easy. The bad comes easy. Nobody wants bad in their life. Even though you don't want it, it comes. The bad comes easy. But the good doesn't come easy. You have to expend a lot of energy to get the good. This is what we have to do. So we have to learn to control the mind. It's going to take a little bit of our energy. We have to have a resolve. Okay, I'm really going to really get serious and try to control my mind. So Prabhupada told us when we were all new devotees, Prabhupada said you have to drag your mind back to the kirtan. Don't let it go. So I'll share with you an experience that happened in London many years ago. I was speaking in the evening in the London Temple, Soho Street. And I was saying that we have to learn to control our mind, because inattentive chanting is considered aparad. For example, suppose Prabhuji here wants to speak with me. You know, maybe he has a problem and he wants to come to me and share his problem and ask for advice. So while he's revealing his problem and hoping to get some good advice, I'm thinking, I'm far away. And then he says, so can you help me? And I say to him, oh, I'm sorry, I was thinking something else. I didn't hear what you said. Would he think I was rude? Yes. Would he feel offended? Yes. So why do we do that to Krishna? Krishna's there in his holy name. But we can't wait to start thinking something else. So we're offending Krishna. So this is called aparad nam, this chanting that where you're inattentive because Krishna's right there. So we have to learn to control the mind. So when Arjuna said, it's easier for me to control the wind, Krishna said, undoubtedly, it's not easy, but it can be done. And then he says how it can be done. By suitable practice, abhyas, suitable practice, and detachment. These two things is how you control your mind, by suitable practice and by detachment. Chapter 6, shloka number 35, 635 in the Bhagavad Gita. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada speaks for 2 pages. What is the suitable practice and how to become detached? If you read that purport, study that purport, you will know how to control your mind. So the first thing Prabhupada says is the suitable practice. What is the suitable practice? Before I tell you what Prabhupada said is the suitable practice, what do you think is the suitable practice to control the mind? Anybody have an idea? You don't even have an idea? Sorry? Meditation. Meditation means you control your mind. It's completely calm. So, before I joined ISKCON, I was going to different gurus. So one place I went to, they practiced silent meditation. So I went there for the weekend to stay in their ashram. And then the next morning, like Friday night I checked in. Saturday morning was the meditation. So we were all in this room, and he explained that we're now silence, control the mind. This is called meditation. So I'm sitting there, eyes closed, sitting asana, and the thoughts are coming like a wind. I'm trying to control the thoughts. I don't want to think. No thoughts. And then I feel a little feeling in my throat. And it was a little uncomfortable. And I wanted to clear my throat like that. But I didn't dare because it was so silent in that room. So I tried to control it, but it was getting worse. And my mind was racing, and I was figuring out, how am I going to control this? I want to clear my throat, but if I do, it'll sound like it's amplified in this silent room. Everyone will be disturbed. Finally, it just grew to such a degree that I just had to clear my throat because I was in so much anxiety about it. So I just went like that. And then a minute later, someone else went like that. And then a third person. And then I realized, okay, this process doesn't work for anybody. So it's difficult to control the mind and just be silent, peaceful, and relaxed. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya said, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. This chanting of Krishna Kirtan is a supreme conqueror of Maya. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. And when we're singing, we're not thinking. And we're connecting to Krishna through his holy name. Dhanyavad. But kirtan is call and response. So when the leader sings, then my mind says, now I got a chance. Jumps in, starts thinking. What do we think about? We analyze. We look around, we analyze. We notice what people are wearing, what colors are there. If it's outside, whether there's clouds, the sun is shining. We analyze. The best thing is if you close your eyes, you stop this analyzing. But then the mind still wants to think. So it'll think about what it's hearing. So how to solve that problem? Well, it's very easy. Don't stop singing. When you sing, you can't think. So when it's the leader's time to lead the kirtan, you can sing along with him, but quietly. Because as long as you sing, you can't think. When you sing, you can't think. Write that in your phone so you won't forget. Because here's another thing you have to write in your phone. When you think, you can't hear. When you think, you cannot hear. So now I'm going to give you proof. When you think, you cannot hear. I'm not going to give you proof from the Shastra. I'm not going to give you proof what I've heard others say. I'm not even going to give you proof from my own life. I'm going to give you proof from your life. Because when I prove it from your life, you'll remember. Are you ready for this experiment? Oh, okay. So think back in the past, not so far in the past. Maybe you were doing something or going somewhere. And the inner voice said, do like this instead, or go here instead. And you thought about it, you analyzed. But then you decided to continue with your original plan. But then later it turns out that, oops, I should have listened to that voice. Has anybody had that experience? Okay, everybody has had that experience. So I told you I would share this knowledge from your own life. So if you follow your mind, you're doomed. Because we should follow the inner voice. Why should we follow the inner voice? Who is that inner voice? And how is it that the inner voice knows the future? That if you continue doing as you're doing, you're not going to get what you want. I almost died. I was 1 second away from dying because I didn't listen to the inner voice. You want to hear that story? So it was winter. I was living in New York at the time, and I didn't want to spend another winter with the snow and the cold. So I decided I'm going to drive to California, to Los Angeles, where it's always warm. So early one morning, I packed up the car with all my belongings and I set out, driving from east to west across America. It's a 3-day drive if you drive 14 hours every day. That's how far away it is. It takes you 3 days if you're doing 14 hours a day. So I was making good time, and by the time I got to Chicago, it was late afternoon, but the sun was still shining. But it started to snow. It was snowing. And then I heard the inner voice say, take the next exit and get a hotel for the night. So I was thinking, but it's still light out. I still have a couple of 3 or 4 more good hours I could drive. So I analyzed and I decided to keep going. Well, what happened was 10 miles down the road, it was much colder and had been snowing for a longer time, and it was very icy. the road had become very icy. So all of a sudden, I had to drive slower, because, you know, when you drive fast at 70, you have to slow down to 60, 50, 40. And then I hit an ice patch, and the car started sliding. So I was trying to control the car, because I imagined in my mind that going off the road. So I was slowly pumping the brakes and then trying to control the sliding, but the car wasn't obeying. So when I realized that I could lose control and it could go off the road, I just said, "Krishna, help!" And as soon as I cried out, "Krishna, help," the car turned at a 45-degree angle and went into a snowbank on the side of the road. And I came to a stop on the side of the road in snow that was like knee deep. And just at that moment, a big lorry with a huge trailer went by in the lane where I was. And I realized, oh my God, 1 second earlier I would have been there, he would have hit me. And I would have been smashed potato with no butter. And I was sitting in that car wondering, wow, Krishna saved my life. And then I began thinking, well, why didn't I follow that voice? And then I thought, who was that voice? And how did that voice know the future? And then I realized only Krishna knows the future. That voice must be Paramatma. And then I realized Paramatma is always speaking to us, which he says. Krishna says, I'm always guiding you as Paramatma. I'm always in your heart. But I never listened. Then I realized now I have to train myself to hear the inner voice and become Paramatma realized. And then I had another realization. This was why Srila Prabhupada, at such an elderly age, could travel all over the world, spread Lord Chaitanya's mission all over the world in 10 short years, because he was hearing Paramatma. Paramatma said, go here, he went there. Paramatma said, do this, he did that. Say like this, he said like that. Just imagine if you follow someone who knows the future, no mistakes, everything goes like clockwork. If that person who knows the future says, put all your savings on horse number 5, you do it and you win. He knows the future. So I thought, okay, I've got to train myself to follow that voice whenever I hear it. But guess what? For many lifetimes, I had the opposite samskara in my consciousness of not hearing. And then I would realize, wait a minute, why am I not following? And time and time again, even though I was training myself to hear the voice, whenever the voice spoke, I would still follow my mind. Because that was a samskara I had put in my consciousness life after life, birth after birth. So we have to put a new samskara into our consciousness of following the inner voice, Paramatma. So Krishna is saying to Arjuna, chapter 6, shloka 35, that you can control the mind. It can be done by suitable practice and detachment. So Prabhupada talks about the suitable practice. And the suitable practice is shravanam, hearing. It's not kirtanam. It's not meditation. It's hearing. You have to hear. And he explained what is the Vedic definition of hearing. Hearing means that the instruction goes into your consciousness and you follow that instruction. That's called hearing. If you hear something but you don't follow, then you haven't heard. We still think in the material world, if you hear something but you don't follow, you still heard it. But not according to Vedic understanding. If you don't follow, you didn't hear. Because the proof of hearing is a change in behavior. If the behavior doesn't change, you didn't hear. If it goes in this ear and comes out this ear, you didn't hear. This is the Vedic understanding. So we have to learn to hear the inner voice, because the inner voice is Paramatma. It's Krishna. Krishna's talking to you, and he talks to everybody. How do I know? Let me share an example. Yeah, in the 1980s, I had a friend, and she came from a very wealthy family, and she liked that I was a devotee. So one day she said to me, she said, you know, you really fully believe in God. I said, yeah. But I don't even know if God exists. I have no idea. That's what she said to me. She brought that up for the first time. I have no idea whether God exists or not. So I said to her, well, would you like to know? Yeah, I would like to know. If God exists, I would like to know that. So I said, okay, this is what you should do. One evening, before you take rest, when you're feeling calm and peaceful, just have a little conversation like this. Just say, my dear Lord, I don't know if you exist. I don't even know if you can hear me. But if you do exist, and if you can hear me, give me a sign so I'll know that you exist. And make it an unmistakable sign so I'll know 100% that it's you and not my mind. That's what I told her. I said, can you do like that? She said, yeah, I can do like that. And then about 4 or 5 days later, I got a phone call. She was so excited. I got a sign. There is a God. Krishna gave her a sign. She's not a devotee. She wasn't even a complete vegetarian. She was trying to be. But Krishna gave her a sign. He spoke to her. So Krishna's there in everybody's heart, not just the devotee's heart, everybody's heart. And he communicates with us. But we don't listen. We don't follow. Prabhupada listened. Prabhupada followed. Look at the result. What if you were to listen and follow what Paramatma told you? What would happen? Well, let's go back to the original example. Prabhuji wanted to speak to me. But then I said, oh, I'm sorry, I was thinking, I didn't hear what you had to say. Because when you think, you can't hear. So he's not encouraged to speak to me again. But what if every time he comes to me, I give him my full attention, I listen carefully, and do my best to answer all his questions. Then he'll be encouraged to come and speak to me again and again. Correct? Yes? Yes? It's the same with Krishna. If you start to listen to Krishna, he'll speak to you more. He speaks to us less because we don't pay any attention. Try listening and following, and you'll see he'll start speaking to you more. And then we have to train ourselves to follow what he says. We should know this is Krishna. He's in my heart. I've read it in all the books. I've heard it from all the saints. In every religion, they tell you this, not just our yoga process, every yoga process. We have to put it into practice. We have to implement this. Hearing and following. And then Krishna will speak to you more. And this is how we become the instrument of the Lord. This is how we become the pen in Krishna's hand that writes the history of how the UK became Krishna conscious. Each and every one of us, we have to become Krishna's instrument. He speaks and we act. We get things done together. Individually, we don't get much done. But when Krishna and I work together, we get a lot done. He talks, I follow. We get a lot done. And Krishna wants us to get the credit. Arjuna needed some encouragement to fight in the Kurukshetra war. He didn't want to fight. Why he didn't want to fight? Because he saw his relatives on the other side, his friends on the other side, the teachers, the people he had relationship with on the other side. I can't kill these people. Bhishma Dev, how can I harm him? Dronacharya, he was my teacher. He taught me martial arts. Now I have to fight against him. Krishna says, because they're representing adharma, you have to represent dharma. So even devotees sometimes represent adharma because we don't follow all the principles. The principles were given, these are dharmic principles, but we sometimes don't follow them. Especially in our mind, we don't follow them. But we're blessed because in Kali Yuga, you don't suffer the karmic reactions of what you think. But in every other yuga, whatever you think, there's karmic reaction. But in Kali Yuga, that's a special benediction in this Kali Yuga. Whatever you think, it's okay. No karmic reaction. But if you speak it, or say it, or do it, karmic reaction. So, let's try to follow what Krishna is saying. So that means hearing. Srila Prabhupada says, so Shravanam is the first and foremost practice to control the mind. We have to learn to hear. We have to practice hearing in every situation, not just hearing what Krishna says, hearing what other people say. We have to learn to hear and follow. So you read that purport, chapter 6, shloka 35, how to control the mind. So that's the first thing. That's your suitable practice. The second thing is detachment. How do you become detached from all the things in the material world that you're attached to? We have attachments. Krishna says become detached. So Prabhupada explains how to become detached. You become detached from one thing by becoming attached to something else. So we became detached from eating meat by just eating prasadam. So what we do is the senses require sense objects. But from now on, what we're going to do is we're going to give spiritual sense objects to the senses. No longer material sense objects to the senses, only spiritual sense objects. Spiritual sense objects for the tongue. Spiritual sense objects for the eyes. Spiritual sense objects for the ears. So we're here in the temple, we come for darshan. Darshan is the spiritual sense objects for the eyes. Watching television is the material sense objects for the eyes. I haven't watched television for most of my life. I travel a lot, and many years ago, one place they arranged for me to stay in a hotel. It was in Barcelona. There was a big, big festival there, and Rath Yatra. So they put me in a hotel. So in that hotel room, they had a big TV screen, and they had a program. And they listed over 1,000 channels. It had all these different channels. And I was wondering, I wonder if there's something that I might be interested in. Is there anything that I might be interested in? So I went through the channels. It took me over an hour, every channel. And at the end, there was nothing that I was interested in. Nothing, zero. I was only interested in anything that had to do with Krishna, Krishna Katha. So we have to make that transition also. That's why we chant our japa. That's why we follow the regulative principles. That's why we follow the process of bhakti yoga. It purifies our taste, our ruchi. We develop nama ruchi, Krishna ruchi, prasad ruchi. We no longer have any interest for those other things. And then it becomes very natural. In the beginning, you're struggling with your mind. Your mind wants to enjoy a certain thing, and you say to yourself, I can't do that. That's against the regulative principles. So sometimes we indulge our mind. Well, it's only in my mind. I'm not really doing it. But Prabhupada told us you have to be careful, because whatever you meditate on in your mind, you get a feeling. A feeling comes from what you're thinking about. And from that feeling comes a desire for doing, thinking, feeling, and acting. Prabhupada said that's the 1, 2, 3. That's how it works. If you stop the thinking, then you stop the feeling also. And then there's no more acting. So we have to give spiritual sense objects to the senses. And then what happens is that Krishna consciousness becomes very easy, very natural. It just flows. And I remember in the beginning, when Prabhupada was preaching to us, he said, so Krishna consciousness is very easy. So I was thinking, oh yeah? Maybe for you. And so I asked, in what way is it easy? And you want to know Prabhupada's answer? Because all you do is follow. Any child can follow. Anybody can follow. You don't have to concoct anything. You don't have to invent anything. You simply follow. This is the process. And you just follow. It's very easy. You just follow. We are so conditioned, we can't even follow. We have difficulty following. So, but we can be successful if we realize that by controlling the mind, I solve all my problems. Because all the problems begin in the mind. And in English, we have the saying, nip it in the bud, right? You all know that saying? Do you have, maybe in India, you don't have that saying. The bud is when a flower has not yet blossomed. You cut it off before it blossoms. You nip it in the bud when it's just a bud. You don't allow these desires to blossom. And then it becomes second nature. I remember when I was just like 3 years, no, it was just like less than 2 years. I was following the yoga process and I was traveling. I was in Morocco, in Marrakesh. And the fishermen, they go out, they catch these fish, and then they put them on a stick. And they have a big fire and they put the stick leaning against the fire, and they roast the fish. And I had just become vegetarian. And it was, it was a struggle. No, I can't eat that. My mind says, yeah, it tastes really good. You never had this before. Try it. No, I can't do it. So I didn't do it. But now I wouldn't even think about it, not interested. So in the beginning, you have to show a little willpower. You have to, you have to have some control over your willpower. And you can ask Krishna to help you, or Lord Chaitanya, please help me. I'm having this desire. I don't want this desire. Please help me. And Krishna will help. Yeyatamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. Krishna says, as you approach me, I reciprocate accordingly. So I've always used that. Whenever I have questions, whenever I need help, I approach Krishna with my questions. I approach Krishna because I need assistance. And he says, as you approach me, I reciprocate accordingly. So at first, I did it as a test. Well, let me see if this is true. And then Krishna reciprocated. So over time, I saw Krishna always reciprocated. Whenever I asked a question, wherever I approached with the problem, he would reciprocate. But he reciprocates according to his time, not our time. We want it now, immediately. This is the now generation. We can't wait till tomorrow. I gotta have it now. Krishna doesn't operate on that time standard. But he'll reciprocate. You just have to be patient. So Rupa Goswami says there's two things that will guarantee success in our yoga practice. Number one, enthusiasm. Where does the enthusiasm come from? Kirtan, honoring prasadam, associating with the Vaishnavas, preaching to other people. That's enthusiasm. And the second thing that's required is patience. Daryat. Utsahan, enthusiasm, and daryat, patience. And if we have patience, Krishna will reciprocate, and we make advancement gradually, step by step. In Hindi you say dire dire. In Bengali you say krome krome, step by step. So are there any questions on this topic of controlling the mind? Yes, Prabhu.
You suggested for different indriya, we have options, like we come to temple for darshana, we chant and we hear. What is for touch? How do you control your touch or modify your touch feeling or indriya, something towards Krishna?
Okay, there's so much echo and noise on the microphone. Prabhu, could you just repeat what he said?
Puji, he's saying that you mentioned that for the seeing, we have the darshan in the temple. For hearing, then we have a taste. How about the touch sensation?
How much?
Touch sensation, the skin.
Touch sensation.
What is a spiritual object for the skin?
Well, you touch prasadam when you eat, right? The touch sensation. We touch the mridanga drum when we're playing, the harmonium when we're singing kartals. We touch the shastra when we read it. We touch the lotus feet of the spiritual master, the touch sensation. These are the spiritual sense objects for the touch sensation. Good question. Thank you. So if there's no more questions, it means that everyone is clear on this subject. Clarification. Have I given some clarification? Yes? Do you think you can make a better effort now at hearing? Yeah? Okay, good. You will benefit. So, Prabhu asked me to give a little katha on my experiences with Srila Prabhupada. So, I'll tell you one of my most intimate pastimes with Srila Prabhupada was when, well, there was two times, one in Los Angeles, one in India. I'll tell you the Indian one first. So in India, we were part of the BBT library party, which means that we went to every library to distribute full sets of Prabhupada's books in every library, in every town, city, village, college, university library, public library, private library, even medical library. I went to the All India Institute in Delhi, the medical big library. They said, well, we only have medical books here, you know, this is wonderful, the Shastra, we believe in it, but it's only medical books. So I'd been doing this for some time, and I could never tolerate that I didn't get the books into a library. But this medical library, no matter what I said, they said, we only have medical books here. So I was meditating, how in the world am I going to get these books into this medical library? So then Krishna gave me some inspiration. So we were brahmacharis those days, so we were always dressed in saffron. So I went to the parliament buildings in Delhi, and I went to see the health minister. And we had a card, Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, Vaiyasaki Das Brahmachari, and in the four corners, New York, Los Angeles, London, and Bombay. So I go to the health minister, to the secretary, and I show her my card. I'd like to see the health minister. Well, you know, do you have an appointment, like this and that? Anyway, I convinced her. I said, what we're doing is we're interviewing the most important people in India, and we're going to publish a book of people, important people in India who support our spiritual master's books. I wanted to give him a gift of a free book. So she said, let me check. So she called on the intercom. He said, yeah, okay. So I went in to see him, and I gave him this Bhagavatam. He looked at it, it was beautiful, just one copy. I told him, please read this, and then if you write a short review, we'll print it in a book that we're publishing of all the top scholars worldwide. And your review will be in there with all their reviews. So he said, oh, sure, okay. So I said, very good. I left it with him. I said, I'll come back in a week or so. Now I knew that he was never going to write a review. But I knew that he wanted to be recognized as a top scholar. Everybody wants to be in a book, you know, world's top scholars, my name's in there. He could show all his friends. So I wrote a review on his behalf. Based on my association with him, I wrote a review. Then I came back a week later, and of course he said, you know, I didn't get a chance. I'm very, very busy. And I said, I know you're very busy. You have the most important service in the whole government. You know, you have to flatter people. So I said, So I wrote something that I thought you might have said if you would have had a chance to write it. And what I wrote was like with the best English, very important sounding, big words and everything. I said, is this like something that you would have written? So he reads it. Yeah, that's like something that I would have written. So I said, okay, just have your secretary type it up on your letterhead, and then we can include that in this book. So he did that. So now I take this letterhead with what the health minister said. I went back to the All India Library, the medical library in Delhi. Went to the librarian and says, this is what your health minister says about these books. Because the last line I wrote, every library should have these books. So they ordered. So I wrote to Srila Prabhupada and told him. And Prabhupada, Satsrup Maharaj was his secretary then. He told me that when he read the letter to Prabhupada, Prabhupada said, this boy has some intelligence. So Prabhupada really appreciated this. So we were doing this library book distribution, full sets of Prabhupada's books. We would just go in with a briefcase and order forms, contracts, show them one Bhagavatam. So we were going from Delhi, we went to Haryana, and then Punjab, and then Jammu. And then I was thinking, why don't we go? I was with another devotee, Satyanarayan Prabhu. We were a team. I said to Satyanarayan, why don't we go to Kashmir? It's all Muslim colleges. If we can distribute full sets of Prabhupada's books in Muslim colleges, Prabhupada would be really pleased with that. And he said, yeah, we got to do it. So Kashmir is way up in the Himalayas. And to get to Kashmir, you have to go through a long tunnel. And when you come out, you see the Kashmir Valley. It's an amazing vista, panoramic view. And then we drove to Srinagar, got a place to stay, and do the research, find out all the libraries, all the universities. And then we went out. And we were having success because we had gone all over India, from South India, East India, West India, now North. So we were experts. Prabhupada told us, he says, salesmanship begins when they say no. That's when you begin selling. Up until that point, you just make a nice presentation. You don't try to sell it. So one afternoon, I was coming back in the rickshaw. I had just sold a set at one Muslim library. And out of the corner of my eye on the rickshaw, I saw the sign, library. So I said to the rickshaw, well, boss, stop. I got down, walked back, and Oriental Library. So I went inside, I started looking at the books, and they had a lot of Shastra in different languages. I could read, I learned Devanagari, so I could see, okay, they have Devanagari here. And I was in Kashmir, so I saw Kashmiri writing. They had Kashmiri, they had Pali, English, all kinds of Bengali. So I thought, this is a perfect library for Prabhupada's books. So while I was looking at the books, the librarian came up to me. He says, can I help you? So I showed him my card. Very nice. Then I handed him a Bhagavatam, and he looked at it. You could see it was very well done, saw the pictures in the front. Then he gave it back, and he said, I think we already have this. So salesmanship begins when they say no. That's what Prabhupada taught us. So I said, I know for a fact that you don't have these books because these books were just printed in America. They just came to India and we're distributing them for the first time. So I know that you don't have these books, but you should have them. So he said to me, let me check. So he went to the back of the room, opened the door. I waited for him to come back. And then he came back with the 3 volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto that Prabhupada published in Delhi before he went to America. And he said, the author himself came here, and I purchased these from him directly. So I said to him, well, look, it's only the first canto. Bhagavatam is 12 cantos. You need to have the whole set. Now you should get the whole set. So in the end, he signed the contract. And I came out of there and I was like, wow. I just came to the same place that Prabhupada came to and distributed books to the same man that Prabhupada distributed books to. I was in ecstasy. I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it. So then that evening, Satyanarayan and I decided we'd done most of the colleges now and libraries. And he said, I have heard from devotees that Prabhupada's now in Vrindavan. We should go back directly to Vrindavan, let Prabhupada know that we distribute full sets of his books in all of these Muslim libraries. So we did that. So early one morning, real early, right Mangalarti time, we start driving. And then we're going down the Himalayas, and I see beehives in one place. It's an apiary. I said to Satyanarayan, let's get some Himalayan honey and bring it back to Srila Prabhupada. So we pulled in, got a big bottle of golden Himalayan honey. It was like molten gold. It was like, I'd never seen honey like that before. And then we continued driving. We just drove and drove and drove until we got to Vrindavan. Then the next morning, after the morning program, after Prasadam, Satyanarayan and I, we knocked on the door to Prabhupada's rooms in Vrindavan. And Jagadish Prabhu was Prabhupada's secretary then, so he answered. And Satyanarayan and I both knew Jagadish, so we said, hey Jagadish, we just came back from Kashmir. We distribute full sets of Prabhupada's books, all the libraries. We brought back some honey. We'd like to see Srila Prabhupada. Well, you can't see him. So, salesmanship begins when they say no. So I said, why not? Well, because he's already got some guests there. I said, well, look, why don't you just tell him what we've done and ask him when we can see him, when he would like to see us. So he said, okay. So he closed the door. Satyanarayan and I waited. Then he came back a few minutes later, and then he opened the door. Satyanarayan and I said, so? And he said, Prabhupada will see you now. Jai, we were so ecstatic. So we came into Srila Prabhupada's rooms. Anybody been to Prabhupada's rooms in Vrindavan? It's the same today as it was in 1976. This is November 12th, 1976. The only difference is now they have a bed there. Before there was no bed. So as we came in, 2 Indian gentlemen were sitting with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada went like this. He said to the Indian gentleman, here are 2 very nice boys. And we offered our obeisances, and the Indian gentleman got up and left. And we sat down in front of Srila Prabhupada. In those days, Prabhupada always referred to his disciples as boys and girls. We were feeling we were ladies and gentlemen, but he saw us as boys and girls. And, you know, he was more than 50 years older than all of us. So compared to him, we were like boys and girls. What to speak of our consciousness. So I told Srila Prabhupada we had just come back from Kashmir, distributed full sets of his books in all the libraries there. And then Prabhupada said, oh, I went to Kashmir before I went to America. And I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada, I know. I went to that Oriental library that you went to, and that librarian, he took the rest of your books. Now he has the whole set, all of your books, not only the Bhagavatams, but every book that Prabhupada had published. So Prabhupada was so happy. Big, huge smile. And then he said, do you remember going through the tunnel and seeing the Kashmir Valley? And when he said that, his eyes opened so big, it was like he was seeing it again. And I realized at that moment that when we saw the Kashmir Valley and we went, wow, that Prabhupada also had a wow experience when he came out of the tunnel. So it was about a 12-minute darshan. Half the time he was speaking to me, half the time he was speaking to Satyanarayan. So I don't remember everything. But I remember very clearly at the end, Prabhupada was now ready to wind up the darshan. So then he looked me right in the eyes and he said, so, wherever you go and whomsoever you meet, you share with them the knowledge of Krishna you've received from me. They will be benefited. You will also be benefited. And in this way, by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order, you become Guru. This is what he told us, how you become Guru. So because he said that, I've been traveling ever since. Because I took it that he wanted me to continue traveling. And wherever I went, whoever I met, I should share the knowledge of Krishna with them. They would benefit and I would benefit. So that's what I've been doing. Since then, I never stopped. So that was one of my... Then I gave him the bottle of honey. It was a very ecstatic darshan. And then a couple of days later, Palika Devi, who was Prabhupada's cook at that time, she saw me in the temple room. She came up. She said, you know that bottle of honey that you gave to Srila Prabhupada? Every morning I put some on his plate for breakfast, and he enjoys it very much. So that was that Leela, that pastime. You have time for another Prabhupada Katha Leela? Yeah, we have time? Okay, so in Los Angeles in 1975, before Prabhupada requested us to come to India, because he had requested us in 1975 to come to India to help establish the Indian Yatra, establish ISKCON in India. That was in July. But in February, Prabhupada had come. He actually came 4 times to Los Angeles in 1975. And then San Francisco, he came for the Rath Yatra. So he was 5 times in California. So I had a lot of darshan with him in California. Then I had a lot of darshan with him in India. So on February the 9th, it was either the 8th or the 9th, Prabhupada flew into Los Angeles from Honolulu. He was doing his world tour. So there was no morning program, but there was an evening program with Prabhupada. And the Vaikuntha Players, which was our drama troupe in Los Angeles, they had been rehearsing a specific drama that they were going to prepare for Prabhupada, because we knew in advance Prabhupada's tour, that he was coming to Los Angeles. So the brahmacharis, we all got ready and came to the temple room early before Gaur Arati. And then Prabhupada came down, did the Gaur Arati. And then the drama troupe, they were ready to present this drama to Srila Prabhupada. So in Los Angeles temple, Prabhupada's Vyasasana is here, the deities were here, and on that wall, they set up a little stage about this high. And all the devotees turned around. Prabhupada was in his Vyasasana at the back. And they performed this drama from the Srimad Bhagavatam. 15th chapter, the Pandavas retire timely. So the play went like this very quickly. Yudhisthira and Arjuna are discussing how can we avoid this Kurukshetra battle. Everyone is going to suffer. So many men will be killed and so many wives will become widows. So many young men will be killed and young ladies won't have a husband. How can we avoid this calamity? So they were discussing like that, and Arjuna says, well, let's go ask Krishna. So the next scene, they're asking Krishna, and Krishna has a plan. And so then they approach Duryodhana, and Duryodhana, Yudhisthira speaks, and he says, you know, we've been discussing about the succession of the kingdom. Instead of having a fight to decide who will get what, we've decided like this, that we're Kshatriyas, we're 5 brothers. If we just have 5 small villages, one for each brother to govern, then we can give you 95% of the kingdom, and we don't have to fight. No one dies. Good idea? How many people like that plan? This was Krishna's idea. But Duryodhana didn't like it. He was thinking, they know they're going to lose, and they're trying to salvage 5 villages. And Duryodhana, my godbrother Madhava Prabhu, he played Duryodhana. He was so good. He said, I will not give you as much land as you could put under the head of a pin. And when he said like that, it was so powerful. We all turned around to look at Srila Prabhupada, how he was reacting to that. And Srila Prabhupada was very animated. We would look around from time to time, and we could see his emotions. He was feeling, so he didn't like that. Anyway, the play ends where Yudhisthira and Arjuna come to the palace of Dhritarashtra, and they're sitting on their thrones, 2 chairs on the stage. He's blind. Gandhari is blind. Is that her name, his wife? Yeah. And they say, the battle's over, all your sons have been killed. You have no kingdom anymore. Just leave, go north, go to the forest, meditate on Krishna, and Krishna go back home, back to Godhead. They got up and slowly left the stage. That was the end of the drama. And then everybody turned around to see Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was so happy. He loved that drama. He was smiling so big and so happy. And then because it was Los Angeles, he said something that was very humorous. He said, so the Oscar goes to Yudhisthira. He gave an Oscar to Yudhisthira. And Yudhisthira was played by my godbrother, Lokamangala Prabhu. And he was very shy. He was a brilliant actor, but he was very shy in front of Prabhupada. And everyone went, Haribol! And Prabhupada said, come here. And he was so shy, the devotees were pushing him forward. And then Prabhupada rubbed his head, appreciated so much. And to this day, Lokamangala Prabhu is the only disciple of Srila Prabhupada that got an Oscar from him. He's left his body now. He's not with us anymore. But he was a very wonderful devotee. So Prabhupada was so happy. All the devotees were so happy. But then gradually, Srila Prabhupada became a little more serious. And as Prabhupada became more serious, the devotees also became more serious. And the mood in the temple became more quiet. And then Prabhupada became grave. And his head was down. And the devotees were so silent. The room was so silent that I could hear people breathing. That's how quiet it was. And we were all waiting, what's Prabhupada going to say? So I was so focused, and this is what Prabhupada said. He said, my Guru Maharaj ordered me to distribute the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Western countries. But I am an old man. What can an old man do? But my Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, was so kind upon me that he sent all of you, American boys and girls, to help me. And now I'm very happy to say that Lord Chaitanya's mission is in the right hands. And he went like that. Lord Chaitanya's mission is in the right hands. And all of us, we were looking around at each other. Whose hands is the right hands? No one was thinking like that. But I realized that Prabhupada was so impressed, he was so moved by the drama, that he was convinced that Lord Chaitanya's mission was in the right hands, that we have grasped it, we have understood. And then he said, the grandfather is more kind to the children than the father. Therefore, my Guru Maharaj will give more mercy to you than to me. That's what he said. And I always remembered that. And whenever I did some service and the devotees appreciated it, I was thinking, Bhaktisiddhanta, he's giving his mercy. Because that's what Prabhupada said. I heard him say it. Now today, Prabhupada's your grandfather. So whatever you do, you're getting more mercy from Prabhupada than what we're getting. So don't tell me, you're so fortunate, you had Prabhupada's darshan. You are more fortunate because he's going to give more mercy to you than to us. And I heard Prabhupada say that. So you should be very enlivened by this. You should be feel inspired by this. Are you inspired? So then Prabhupada said something that really shook me. He said, if I have any credit, it is only one thing. If I have any credit, he said. He was so humble. He had fulfilled Lord Chaitanya's prophecy, but he says, if I have any credit, it is only one thing. That I have distributed to you the teachings of Krishna as it is, nothing added, nothing subtracted. And then he gave an example. He said, just like in every country, sometimes the government sends a letter to every citizen. And the post office delivers every letter as it is. They don't open the letter, change anything. They deliver it as it is. So he said, I am simply a postman delivering the message of the ultimate government of Sri Krishna to each and every one of you as it is. So that was all I remember, but that was a very powerful experience. Then Prabhupada stayed for 2 more days, and then on the final day, well, I can tell you some other, how much more time do we have?
So needs like to hear some kirtan also from you. So
We can speak a little,
yeah,
few more minutes.
yeah. Prabhuji, it's only 9:30.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so then we'll wrap it up in 2 more minutes. So on the final day, after class, temple president announced that today Prabhupada will be leaving. He has a flight at noon from Los Angeles to Mexico City. So if everybody finishes their service, then you can go to the airport and say goodbye to Srila Prabhupada. So in the Brahmacharya ashram, we all did our services real fast, finished everything, and jumped in our cars, drove to the airport. So we were sitting in the departure lounge. Prabhupada was sitting on a chair. We were all sitting on the floor in front of him. And it was a very personal, relaxed, informal darshan. It was very sweet. I don't remember what any of the talks, but just that it was very sweet, very relaxed, very informal. It was like a family. You know, when your family leaves, you go to the airport. It was what it was like. Prabhupada was our family member. And then all of a sudden, over the sound system, it said, "Attention all passengers going to Mexico City. Your flight is ready now for boarding." So Prabhupada stood up. And then when he stood up, we all parted, made a way for Prabhupada to walk, to go out of the departure lounge. I was on this side. And then Prabhupada started walking, and we all put our heads on the floor and said the pranam mantras. Oh yeah, I forgot to say one thing. When the temple president said that you can all go to the airport to say goodbye to Srila Prabhupada, he said, but you should behave properly. Be very careful. Behave like proper Vaishnavas, you know. Don't jostle, don't crowd around Prabhupada, don't try to touch his feet. Just behave properly. So he had said like that. So now Prabhupada's leaving and everyone's bowing their head down, saying the prayers, pranam mantras. So in the middle of the pranam mantras, I opened my eyes and Prabhupada was just 1 yard away from me. And I was thinking, well, everybody's down on the floor saying the pranam mantras, their eyes are closed, no one will see. So as he passed me, I touched his lotus feet. And I felt very good doing that because all the Shastra says it's the greatest benediction to touch the lotus feet of the pure devotee. So then when Prabhupada left, everybody got up and we ran to the big windows in the concourse to see the plane, and we saw the people line, going up. We saw Prabhupada in line. He went up into the plane. And we watched as everybody went into that plane, the door shut. We watched as the plane pulled away, turned and went down to the end of the runway and got ready to take off. It was about 200 devotees. We were watching it. Then we heard the jet engines roaring and we saw the plane coming faster and faster and then taking off. And we all just watched as that plane went higher and higher. It was getting smaller and smaller, further and further away. No one left. Everyone kept looking at that plane because Prabhupada was on the plane. Finally, it disappeared from our sight. It was so far away we couldn't see it anymore. And then everybody said, well, let's go back to the temple. So we're walking back to the temple, and all of a sudden the temple president sees me. He comes running up. He says, I saw you. I told you not to touch Prabhupada's lotus feet. You disobeyed that instruction. You're so unsurrendered. You're not a Vaishnava. You're a demon. He was chastising me. And I was going, yes, you're right. I was being very humble. I agreed with him. But inside, I was very happy. So, okay, our time's up. But Prabhuji has invited me to come again next year because I'm leaving tomorrow morning. So next year I can share more Prabhupada Lilas with you. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So now is Prashad or what?
Let me ask.
Oh, okay.
Hare Krishna, everyone. So, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for really sharing your intimate heart with all of us today. So, we are very so fortunate. Prabhuji travels all over the world. He's known for his kirtan. But today, because of your desire and love, Prabhuji again agreed to come today. Today, he shared his pastime with Srila Prabhupada. Generally, we went to Liverpool last week. Nice, Prabhuji sang very nicely there. But it was not as intimate as it is today. Prabhuji is really connecting with all of us here. So please give a big round of 3 Haribols to Prabhuji. Haribol, Haribol. And I'll just recap, just for our memory, that Prabhuji talked about hearing. That to control the mind, what does we require? We require hearing. And what is the symptom of hearing? That it changes our life. The real hearing means it changes our life. So I'm sure you heard it very nicely today, and I pray that your life also changes with Prabhuji's instruction. And I was really amazed that Prabhuji shared his book distribution technique. And I realized that just by chanting Hare Krishna, you become very intelligent. You become the best salesman. And we all have our careers, our jobs and businesses. And if you want to really become intelligent, what is the idea? Become nice devotee. Chant Hare Krishna nicely, and all the intelligence will come to you. So, once again, give a big round of Haribol to Prabhuji. And now, it's 9:35. Would you like to have prasadam now, or 5 minutes of nice sitting down meditative kirtan and then prasadam? Kirtan? Okay. Prabhuji, is it okay? 5 minutes of meditative kirtan?
Which kirtan?
Hare Krishna kirtan.
Hare Krishna mantra?
Hare Krishna mantra, yes.
For how long?
5 minutes, Prabhuji.
5 minutes? I don't even get out of first gear in 5 minutes. Well, better I do. Okay, let me see. What kirtan can I do that's 5 minutes? I don't have 5-minute kirtans. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram Hare Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya 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 Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Nithai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nithai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Guru Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So Prashadam is ready. You can make your way upstairs. But just before that, this Saturday we have a Mangalarti, 5 o'clock. So those who want to come, please do come 5 o'clock this Saturday morning, Mangalarti. On Sunday, we have a regular Sunday program, 12 to 3. And Janmashtami is not very far. On 4th of September, Friday night, we'll be celebrating the Janmashtami. So on Sunday, after 3 o'clock, we'll have a small Janmashtami meeting. So those who want to take part in Janmashtami organization, Yes, most welcome to join in the meeting. And you see, if you would like to do any service during the Janmashtami. So once again, thank you everyone for coming today. Now please take prasadam now. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.